there's no room to innovate back down on these teaching skills, right? You don't innovate down there. You just do it, right? We know what the range of questions are. Do it, right? But when we come up to try to sort of create really increasingly powerful learning context for our youngsters, right? We may say, well, fine, this cooperative group works with perhaps sort of white kids, but what about the Somali kids? And and let us, but we get there through the progression which colleagues have made, right? Now, I think this is really quite sophisticated stuff, right? But I also believe that you're not going to get the transformation that we've seen and talked about today. We're not going to get schools in the top 3% of deprivation getting 100% for kids without doing that type of stuff, yeah? And it seems to me that some of you are beginning to do that type of stuff, right? But not all of us are doing that type of stuff, right? And really, we can get so far. Standards are beginning to move. We are making progress, right? There's no doubt about that. But there's another frontier here where we can really begin to accelerate stuff. But this is tough, right? And there's a lot of, it goes against the current norms of professional practice. And that's why we can't do this through exhortation in sessions like this. We have to do it through us working together as groups of principals, developing the practice inside our schools, right? So that's the next bit of offer, really, I want to sort of make. Are we going to produce, as a group of principals, are we going to try and organize ourselves into master classes on some of these critical challenges, right? Which there ain't textbooks written on these, right? It has to be the co-construction between people who know a little bit about it, right? But you're the world experts on your schools. And we do that through co-construction, through master classes, through the sort of medical rounds approach we've been talking about today, right? So really that's, I got a couple of minutes. So that's another area, all right, where I'm saying, look, I think this is pretty critical to what we're doing. It's pretty high level stuff as well, but we could, if you wanted to, organize training and support on this area, right? Because we've done death by bullet point now. We know this stuff. It's the next horizon, all right? And just finally, I think the other area, the third area that I think is actually worth looking at is this one here. You've got it on the slides. I won't go into much detail about it, but just to highlight it. Okay. Essentially what I'm talking about here is sort of adaptive change, right? And you'll remember some of the discussions we've had about sort of my model of large-scale reform, how systems are moving from lots of prescription to schools leading reform. And that puts increasing pressure on the quality of leadership. And in terms of Ron Heifetz's terms, it requires leadership to move from dealing with technical solutions, which are essentially managerialist solutions, to try to engage in adaptive work, right? And the top-down stuff that Diana was doing in the early stages of her stuff was quite technical, right? You do this way, right? We're going to get consistency. The type of stuff I've just been talking about in the last half hour is much more adaptive because we need to problem solve and work together on that. And Heifetz talks about sort of adaptive challenges demand learning because people are the problem. What he means by people are the problem is that we have to change behavior, all right? We have to change attitudes, right? And that's problematic, and that requires a different form of leadership. It's not just exhortation won't do that. So mobilizing people to meet adaptive challenges is the heart of leadership practice, and this requires us to reflect on the moral purpose by which we seek to thrive and demands diagnostic inquiry into the realities we face that threaten the realization of those purposes, right?